Hi there, this is Tony from pianotone.ca. So, are you a performer in a band or a solo performer and you're looking for a new stage piano or keyboard that isn't going to break the bank? You'd love to get a Nord Electro, but you don't want to spend 3,000 US dollars. You'd love to get a Yamaha CK88 stage piano, but you don't want to spend 1,500 US dollars. Well, I've got a great option for you. This is my introductory review on the Studio Logic Numa Compact 2X stage keyboard, which sells for half the price of the CK88 at only about 750 US dollars. Let's check it out. So this video is not going to be a super in-depth review. There's a ton of features in this keyboard that I could spend hours talking about, but I just wanted to give you a quick overview on the Numa Compact 2X. Now, a couple of things I should mention before I get started. There is also a less expensive version of this keyboard, which is the Numa Compact 2. These two models are exactly the same, except the 2X adds in separate organ and synth engines in addition to the purely sample-based engine that's on the Compact 2. So with the 2X, you get a ton of organ functionality, like a full set of organ drawbars, which double as sliders for the synth engine. You get chorus, percussion, and rotary speaker controls, all of that kind of stuff. So if you just play piano and electric piano and you don't really care about all the extra organ or synth features, then the Compact 2 might be plenty for you. And the second thing to mention is that this review is a little bit late. The new versions of the Compact 2 and 2X were announced at NAMM 2024. But they're not readily available at the time of this review yet. The new versions of the Compact SE and XSE, respectively. I haven't seen any reviews on these models yet, but after watching the promo videos from Studio Logic, I have to say they look pretty similar to the existing models. There's some new sound samples and some more polyphony, but the main features in the menu system and user interface appear to be identical. And one thing I should mention, though, is that the initial prices I've seen online for these two models are quite a bit higher than the prior models. So with all of that out of the way, let's start the review. Okay, so what makes the Studio Logic Numa Compact 2X a fantastic budget stage keyboard? Well, I'll give you a quick summary and then I'll go into some more detail. It's got a good selection of decent to pretty good quality voices, including the ability to download new voices from Studio Logic's website. The 2X has actual organ and synth engines with live controls as opposed to just being limited to just sampled organ and synth sounds. There are upper and lower voice banks, so you can easily layer, split, and configure your voices to your liking, and each of those banks has its own dedicated effects section with clearly labeled physical controls for real-time adjustments as you play. There's also an upper and lower MIDI bank for MIDI sounds. So the Numa has traditional 5-pin MIDI and in and MIDI out ports, so you've got a ton of options there. The user interface is nothing short of fantastic. You've got quick and easy control of all your settings right at your fingertips, and you can just glance at the keyboard and easily see what your current settings are. Setting up and recalling up to 99 registrations, adjusting sound bank specific or global effects on the fly with physical controls. And even though the menu screen is tiny, Studio Logic has put the most important context-sensitive information on there, and it's super easy to read. And you also have two easily configurable joysticks on the left side. One snaps back to its starting position, and the other is kind of more like a mod wheel. The key action is a semi-weighted key action with aftertouch that's a great compromise between fully weighted piano action and a lighter, faster action that's more appropriate for organ playing. You can connect both an expression pedal and a sustain pedal and easily configure what they do and what voice banks they're enabled or disabled for. The connectivity is amazing. You've got all the usual connectivity, including left and right line outs, and you also have 5-pin MIDI in and MIDI out ports, and an audio interface built into the USB port, which is an amazing feature, especially for a keyboard with really good MIDI functionality. For an 88-key keyboard with full-size keys, it is insanely compact and light. At only 15 pounds, it can run on batteries, or if you don't use the speakers, can be powered via USB. Okay, so let's dive in a bit further. I'll start with the user interface and talk about some of the features as I go along. I absolutely love this user interface. It's super intuitive and easy to use and to do things quickly. You've got all your settings right at your fingertips. So over here on the left-hand side, we've got all the controls for working with the organ engine or the synth engine. With the synth engine, these are going to work like sliders. With the organ engine, they're going to be your drawbars, of course. And the organ engine is what I'm most familiar with, so that's what I'll be talking about in this demo. You've got controls for your chorus and vibrato here. You've got controls for your percussion and your decay, and you can also use these joysticks over on the left for controlling things like your rotary speakers speed. So super, super cool. Now I'm just going to slide the camera over to the center. So the center section is where you can set up your sounds and combinations and save them as registrations for quick and easy recall. There are 99 registration slots available, with the first 50 coming preloaded from the factory with some common setups. I can overwrite those if I want to. And then there's an available 50 slots for your own if you want to keep the ones that come from the factory. So I can scroll through these really, really quickly just by using the knob here, and the voices that are within those change. So super quick and easy to do and to see what where you're at. I can also press the button down and scroll through the names this way if I want to. So I'm just going to go back to the first registration. So while the screen is super tiny, it's also super useful and really easy to read. You can see I've got a piano selected for my upper voice in the upper section here, Japan Grand. Then I've got a bass ride selected for my lower voice, but that's not turned on yet. So right now, all you can hear is the piano. So if I press this button to turn on the lower voice as well, so you can see it lights up. Now you can hear the bass with the little ride cymbal. Now I'm probably going to want that split though. Right now it's just layered. So to split it, there's a split button right there. Just press that, and now I'm split. So super cool, super easy to use. And part of being a good stage piano is I can just glance at this display and I know exactly how I'm set up. I know that I'm split, and I know the voices are enabled, and I know what the voices are. So awesome. Now, something else to quickly mention that's actually a pretty huge feature. In addition to the two sound banks, I've got my upper and my lower I've been working with, and sound is enabled here. If I press this MIDI button, I've also got a lower and an upper MIDI zone that I can also work with. So for example, I'm just going to grab the camera here and try and move it smoothly just up here to show you that I've got my Hammond M Solo organ up on the second tier of my stand here. You'll notice that the organ has got its 4 drawbars pulled out. So if I play this, that's the sound that you're hearing right now. Now I've got my Numa Compact MIDI out connected to the MIDI in on my Hammond organ. Let's try and settle this camera back down here. So for example, right now on this registration, I've got my just my piano enabled on the Numa. But if I go to the MIDI section, I can turn on the MIDI here, and now I'm going to hear the piano and the organ. I can turn the piano off, and now I'm just hearing the organ. So that's super, super cool, and that's just a ton of functionality. Now, something I'm going to show you here is I set up a registration specifically for using the Numa Compact to control my Hammond. So when I choose that registration, you can see the sound banks are both turned off. And I'm going to go back to the MIDI section. Now, not only can I just control it, the keys, but I've programmed the drawbars on the Numa to control the drawbars on the Hammond. So now I've got all my drawbars set to basically the off position, so you don't hear anything. And as I pull the drawbars out, now I have noticed that the display isn't always correct. You can see it's showing as if all the drawbars are out, but they're not. This is the sound that you're going to hear with just the 4 drawbars being pulled out on the Hammond. So super, super cool. The display doesn't seem to update that great for the MIDI drawbars, but no big deal because the actual drawbars are working great. Now the other thing I have enabled is you can set up these 3 buttons to also send custom MIDI CC signals. So I've set up this button to control the Leslie speaker speed. So if you listen to this, you can hear this rotary speaker speed up and then slow back down again. So ton of functionality in there. Okay, so I'm back on the default piano registration I've been working with. So as far as selecting voices, super, super easy. If I press the upper zone, then I've got these category buttons here. I can press acoustic piano, and I can scroll through all the different options I've got available here. Or I can press electric piano, scroll through those options. So once again, super fast and super easy to do. I've left myself on an electric piano here. Now, as far as editing goes, once again, super fast and super easy. If I'm highlighted on one of the parts, so right now I'm highlighted on the upper zone here, and I press edit, I'm going to go into the part edit menu. Now, this is where you can edit everything to do with the two voice banks. I can edit relative volume, transposing, octave shifts. So I can transpose, let's say I want to transpose the upper one. I can go down to the upper one and then transpose the upper voice one up to that type of thing. And I can do the same with the lower voice. I can switch the octaves, tune them differently, send different amounts of reverb, and then very, very handy is actually the ability to edit whether each pedal is enabled or disabled on each part, and whether or not and what the pedal actually does. So, for example, if I've got a piano layered with maybe strings, I might want to enable the sustain pedal for just the piano, but not for the strings. And if I've got a piano and an organ voice, might want to have the expression pedal control the volume of the organ, but not the piano. So you can do all of that, and it's really quick and easy to do. Same thing, you can configure what you want each one of the two joysticks to do. Turn aftertouch on and off, etc. Now, if I get out of the edit mode of the part there, and I go up to the registration and I press edit, now I'm in the registration edit mode. So I can edit things like the name of the registration, where the split point is, what organ model I'm using. There's some rotary options in here, and then there's a mixer for the upper and lower voice and the upper and lower MIDI zones. So super cool, man. Once again, super easy. Okay, so over on the right-hand side is the effects area, and I really like how Studio Logic did this. There's two effects sections, FX1 and FX2. Each one of them just has a handful of just some really basic common effects. So not overcomplicated, nice and simple, and once again, super easy to use. So I can choose, for example, with FX1, I want to apply an effect to the upper voice or the lower voice. So I can do a separate effect for the upper and lower zones, which is awesome. So right now there's nothing on here. I've just got a piano selected. So if I have it selected to upper, then I can enable some drive. Then I can use the knob to control the amount of drive. So super simple. And there's a chorus, phaser, and flanger. And then again, I can use the knob to control the amount, and then I can do the exact same setup and stuff with the lower voice. Then you've got a second effects section. Once again, you can do that for the upper and the lower. And this one has rotary, tremolo, pan tremolo, and delay as options. And again, you can do that for the upper and lower voice. So super, super cool. Then over on the right, this section of effects is basically global. So it's going to affect everything on the keyboard. So you've got reverb, where you can choose, just going to turn these effects off here. So I've got this set to different types of reverb options. And you can, once again, control the amount of reverb with the knob. Then you've got a two-band EQ with a bass and treble. And once again, this is global. It affects everything. Then there's a mastering volume and your main volume. So incredibly simple and intuitive user interface. Okay, the next thing to talk about is the key action. The key action on the Numa Compact is a really cool semi-weighted action from Fatar. It's their TP9 piano action. So while it's not fully weighted or graded, it is semi-weighted, and the keys are true full-size piano-shaped keys. Because I play piano, electric piano, and a lot of Hammond organ in my band, I've tried tons of keyboards out, and almost all of them are great at one of those needs, but not great at the other, which makes total sense. My Yamaha CK88 stage piano with a fully weighted and graded GHS action was spectacular for piano songs, but I went to go play Hammond organ songs, not so good. And that's what I love about the Numa Compact semi-weighted action. It's a fantastic compromise for playing piano, electric piano, and organ songs effectively. It responds well enough to be able to play piano pieces expressively, but you can also play Hammond organ pieces easily, and things like organ smears and slides are actually smooth and easy to do, which was not the case on my fully weighted Yamaha CK88 piano. So far, out of all the keybeds I've ever tried to use for both piano and organ, the Numa's is my second favorite overall. The only one that's even better, in my opinion, is the semi-weighted keybed on my new Hammond SK Pro, although that keyboard costs a lot more than the Numa does. My Hammond and the Numa are actually the only keyboards I would ever consider using with my band by themselves, with just like a single keyboard for both piano and organ. For anything else, like my Yamaha CK88, I would need a second keyboard with an organ action. Okay, now on to the voices. I'm sure you're eager to hear some samples. The Numa Compact 2X comes with a really good selection of voices. There are 100 built-in sounds that include 8 acoustic pianos, 8 electric pianos, 8 keyboards, 12 bass and guitars, 16 organs, 20 synthesizers, 12 orchestral, and 16 other sounds, with additional voices available for download from Studio Logic's website. And it's important to note here that the pianos and electric pianos that you can download from the website are noticeably better than the ones on the keyboard out of the box. So you definitely need to check that out. I'll demo those versus the ones out of the box in the upcoming demo. Now, as I mentioned, the Compact 2 has a sample-based engine, Studio Logic's TRS True Sound engine. So that engine provides all the voices on the Compact 2, but the 2X adds 2 more sound engines, their tone wheel organ engine from their retired Numa organ series, and their synth engine from their Sledge line of synthesizers. So here's a demo of some of the main voices on the Numa Compact 2X. I'll include some layers and splits. I'll demo the built-in versus the extra piano and electric piano voices, and I'll also demonstrate the organ engine. I don't know the first thing about synthesizers, so I'm not going to be going into those in much detail. Okay, the next thing to talk about is connectivity, which is almost perfect. I do have one complaint though, which I will get to in a bit. The Numa has a quarter-inch stereo headphone out. It's got quarter-inch left and right line outs for connecting to external audio equipment like amps, mixers, PA systems, etc. It's got two pedal inputs, both a quarter-inch. One's for a sustain pedal for your piano patches and an expression pedal port. There are no pedals included with the keyboard though. The USB to device port transmits not only MIDI, but also audio thanks to the built-in USB audio interface. This is a fantastic feature I've talked about in tons of my videos that Yamaha has been including for ages in most of their keyboards. Roland has finally started following suit and including them, and Casio still seems to want to ignore this feature, which makes no sense to me. Anyways, what's the functionality that this feature provides? You can send high-quality audio direct to your DAW, like GarageBand, on a device without an external audio interface. You can record a high-quality piano video with direct digital audio just by connecting your piano directly to your phone. Your phone's camera app will use the direct audio from the piano instead of its built-in mic when you record the video. You can play external audio from your device, so YouTube videos, backing tracks, online piano lessons, etc., and hear it through your piano speakers or headphones and play along just as if it was a normal audio import. And if you're using your Numa Compact as a MIDI controller to trigger sounds on a VST app on a device, instead of having to listen to those MIDI sounds only on your device, those sounds get sent back through the USB connection to your pianos, headphones, and speakers without any lag. So this opens you up to an unlimited number of sounds you can use with your Numa. And this is especially useful on the Numa Compact because of the advanced MIDI functionality provided by the 5-pin MIDI in and out ports, and the ability to customize MIDI CC numbers for controls like the drawbars, etc., as I demoed earlier in this review. So what was my one complaint with the connectivity? It's got to do with the left and right line out ports, which are used for connecting to external audio equipment. In every keyboard I've ever tested that has left and right line outs, the left signal is sent out of the left and the right signal is sent out of the right. But if you only use the left port, the keyboard will send a mono signal that is summing the left and the right together. This is so you can easily connect your keyboard to an amp or a mixer or sound system with only one available input port and still get, sort of, both your left and your right. And a lot of people working sound in a PA system at a venue you're playing will often tell you, sorry, you only get one port. You're going mono, not stereo. Now, the issue with this is that a lot of those same people will kind of shrug off that a summed signal is never as good as a separate left and right because of something called phase cancellation. That's very much a topic for another video, and to be honest, is not something I'm claiming to be a specialist in. But if you combine two sound waves, like a left and a right, into one signal, and there's a spot where those sound waves intersect each other, they can actually cancel each other out, and the result is you hear nothing, which can make a summed signal from a keyboard sound kind of weird. But anyways, what's my complaint about the Numa? Well, unlike all the other keyboards I've tested that sum the left and the right signal when you only use the left out, the Numa does not do that. You only get the left. So to be honest, that will often sound even weirder or worse than getting a summed signal with the potential of phase cancellation. So I'm not sure why Studio Logic did that. In any case, what's the solution for that if you're in that situation at a venue? And you're only getting one mono port offered to you. You either live with just the left signal, or you get a mixer that you can connect the left and the right signals from your keyboard to that has the ability to sum those into a mono signal, or you just use the stereo headphone out instead of the left and right line outs. Not the end of the world or anything, but just a little strange. Okay, so other features. For speakers, there are two 10 watts backward-facing speakers that are fine for practice, but to be honest, I've got mine turned off all the time, and I just use headphones. If I'm playing live with my band, I also have them off because there's absolutely no way I'm going to hear them. If I was playing at a cafe or something small with just a tiny amp or something, I might try to enable them as monitors, but to be honest, since they're facing backwards, I probably still wouldn't hear them. I'm not a fan of downwards or backwards facing speakers on keyboards. Either way, though, here's a quick speaker demo showing what they sound like just as picked up by the internal mic on my iPhone. So a huge feature to talk about is portability. The Numa Compact 2X only weighs 15 pounds, and for an 88 full-size keyboard, it's super thin and narrow. It can run on batteries, and if you have the speakers disabled, you can actually even power it with USB from a device. I've never done that because I actually have a Talent Cell battery pack I reviewed a while back. I'll link to that in the description below, that can power the Numa for hours. When I use the Numa and my Hammond M Solo with my band, the two of them together weigh about the same as my Yamaha CK88 piano did, so super portable. Something else I haven't mentioned yet is the Numa Manager app for PC or Mac. I don't think it's available for mobile devices. This app isn't used for controlling your keyboard or changing settings or anything, and to be honest, you don't need that because it's got such a good user interface anyways. It's purely used for managing your keyboard's voices and registrations. For transferring new voices you've downloaded from Studio Logic's site to your keyboard, and for updating your keyboard's operating system when Studio Logic releases updates. It's a pretty basic app, it's super easy to use, and it is helpful for managing all of that stuff. Okay, so competition. What's the competition for the Numa Compact 2X? To be honest, I personally don't know of any stage keyboards with this much to offer in the same price range. The Numa Compact 2X really does provide the same kind of functionality you're going to find on stage keyboards that are far more expensive, like Nord's or the Yamaha CK, CP, or YC series. Are the sounds as good on the Numa? No, but they're not bad and they're totally usable. Are the effects as good and are there just as many? No, but they're not bad and they're totally usable. So for the price, the only keyboard in the same price range that I could think of that could be considered competition as a budget stage keyboard would be my Yamaha PSR EW425. But even then, not really. While the PSR EW425 does have a ton of functionality, it's actually got way more voices and effects options than the Numa does. It's got great speakers and it's even got a mic input. It's not really a stage keyboard. A lot of that awesome functionality is buried in menus, so while there's no reason you couldn't use it as a stage keyboard, it's not really what it was built for, whereas the Numa was designed from the bottom up to be an affordable stage option. Hey, so the verdict. What's the verdict on the Numa Compact 2X? I love this keyboard. This is one of my favorite keyboards I have ever owned. If you're looking for a super portable, easy-to-use stage keyboard with a ton of functionality and good quality voices for a fraction of the price of most stage keyboards at only about $750 US, you really can't beat the Numa Compact 2X. Main thing to keep in mind, though, is that this is a semi-weighted key action, so if you absolutely must have a fully weighted key bed, you're not going to like the Numa Compact. But if you're like me and you love to have a key bed that works good enough for piano songs, but also works for organ songs, this key bed is awesome. So if you follow my channel, you probably know that I often trade in my keyboards after a while on new ones to review and to try out with my band. But I don't ever see myself doing that with a Numa. It just has far too much to offer for the money. I used it in conjunction with my Hammond M Solo with my band for months, including using it on a CD we recorded, and it was awesome. I have recently upgraded to a Hammond SK Pro to use with my band because I really wanted the best Hammond organ functionality I could get, but I will still be using the Numa instead of my Hammond for more casual gigs like playing in a cafe or playing outside, that type of thing, where portability is more important. So that's pretty much it for this review. Please feel free to smash the like button and subscribe to my channel. It does really help me out. I've left links below to check out current prices in your area on the Numa Compact 2 and 2X, as well as the new versions that were announced at NAMM. And as usual, I've also left links to some online piano training that I've taken that worked really well for me. So thanks again for stopping by. Happy keyboard shopping and have an awesome day.